There's a big difference between not being scared and being careful. I'm
Correct.
not scared, but you have to be careful or somebody's going to get hurt if you're not.
Troy Landry has spent decades battling some of the fiercest predators in the swamps of Louisiana, carving out a life that's equal parts adrenaline and grit. But nothing in his long career could have prepared him or anyone for what was just discovered hidden beneath his dock. 1 minute. Life on the bayou was running as usual. The next, a jaw-dropping secret was revealed that has left fans, locals and hunters completely stunned. For years, Troy's dock has been a familiar landmark, the place where he launches boats, gears up for alligator hunts, and shares stories of the swamp with viewers of swamp people. But underneath those weathered planks, something unexpected had been quietly waiting, untouched and unnoticed until now. The discovery challenges everything people thought they knew about the area, the swamp, and even Troy's everyday life. This is more than just a hidden stash or a random piece of debris. What was found points to a story that's part mystery, part history, and entirely unbelievable. People across social media are already sharing their theories, and some are calling it the most shocking swamp discovery in years. Experts are weighing in, neighbors are talking, and Troy himself can barely believe what's lying beneath his own dock. The bayou is known for its secrets, but even seasoned swamp hunters admit that this one takes the cake. It's a reminder that nature holds surprises in every corner, and sometimes the most ordinary spots hide the most extraordinary stories. What they found under Troy Landry's dock isn't just a curiosity. It's a story that will make you rethink everything you thought you knew about the Louisiana swamps, and about Troy himself. Brace yourself. The truth is stranger than fiction, and it's waiting just beneath the surface. The Louisiana swamp is a place of quiet danger and hidden beauty, where the air hangs thick with humidity and every rustle in the cypress trees could be a heron, a snapping turtle, or something far more formidable. For Troy Landry, it's home. He spent his entire life navigating these waters, learning the rhythm of the swamp and understanding its secrets better than anyone else. But nothing in all his years hunting alligators, dodging storms, and surviving the unpredictable swamplands could have prepared him for the surprise that lay beneath his dock. It all began on a regular morning. Troy had his routine down pat, checking traps, inspecting the boat, and preparing his gear for the day's hunt. The dock, old and weathered by decades of sun, rain, and high waters, creaked under his boots as he moved from one side to the other. Most people saw just a simple wooden structure, the kind that dotted every waterway in the bayou. But Troy's instincts, honed from years in the swamp, told him to take a closer look. Something about the way a plank had shifted caught his eye. He bent down, running his fingers along the wood, and noticed a slight gap, small, almost invisible, but enough to make a man curious. Curiosity in the swamp is rarely just idle. It's survival. With a crowbar, Troy pried the plank loose, expecting maybe to find debris washed in by the river, or a lost tool from one of his earlier trips. What he found instead made him stagger back. Hidden beneath the dock was an object that didn't belong there, something old, mysterious, and undeniably significant. The swamp, Troy thought, had always been a place of surprises. He had encountered alligators with teeth like chainsaws, snakes that could disappear in a blink, and storms that could rise from nothing and swallow the bayou whole. But this discovery was different. It wasn't alive. It didn't hiss or snap. Yet it carried the weight of a secret, something that had been lying in wait for who knew how long. Troy could feel the history radiating from it. The kind of history that belonged in stories whispered around campfires. Not something buried under a dock he walked over every day. Troy called over his cameraman, a man who had seen a lot of things in the swamp but still managed to gasp when he got a look at what lay beneath the planks. The camera rolled, capturing every moment of disbelief as Troy carefully lifted the object out. It was bigger than expected, encased in mud and grime, but intact enough that its details could still be discerned. Its presence here in the middle of nowhere begged questions. Who put it there? How long had it been hiding? And why had it been left untouched for so long? As Troy wiped away the mud, the object revealed its secrets, intricate carvings, markings that suggested age and purpose, and an aura of mystery that drew him in deeper than any alligator trap ever could. He knew this wasn't just a piece of junk. This was something people would talk about for years. Already he could feel the buzz starting. Neighbors would whisper. Fans would speculate, and the swamp would seem just a little more magical, a little more dangerous because of what had been uncovered. Yet, amid the excitement, Troy felt a familiar sense of caution. The swamp had a way of testing even the most experienced hunters. Every secret had its cost. Every discovery could bring trouble. He knew he would need help to understand what he had found, and that meant reaching out to experts who could shed light on the object's origins. But one thing was certain. The moment he lifted that plank, his everyday routine had changed forever. Troy Landry had uncovered something extraordinary, hidden in plain sight under his own dock. And, as the morning sun broke through the misty canopy, glinting off the water, he realized that this discovery wasn't just about what was hidden, it was about the stories the swamp still had to tell. Waiting for the right person brave enough to uncover them. The discovery beneath. Troy Landry's dock quickly became the focal point of his day. Normally, mornings in the swamp were measured, methodical: check the traps, prep the boat, scan the waters for movement. But today, everything had shifted. Troy couldn't get the hidden object out of his mind. Its intricate carvings, the unmistakable age of it, and the sheer mystery of how it had ended up there, all of it demanded answers. After a quick breakfast, Troy returned to the dock, this time with a small team, a local historian familiar with the region, a trusted cameraman to document every detail, and a neighbor who had grown up hearing the legends of the swamp. Together, they examined the object more carefully. Mud and debris were gently scraped away, revealing its true shape. A weathered chest, small but sturdy, bound in iron bands that had resisted decades of water and rot. Troy's heart raced. This was no ordinary find, it was a relic, possibly untouched for generations. The historian, adjusting his glasses, traced the carvings with a gloved finger. These markings, they're unlike anything I've seen around here, he said. They might date back over 100 years, possibly more. And the symbols, they suggest this was important, maybe ceremonial. His tone carried both excitement and caution. Whatever this chest contained, it had value beyond measure and potentially significance that extended far beyond the swamp. Troy's neighbor, a lifelong resident of the bayou, leaned in, whispering as if speaking too loudly might awaken something in the murky waters. There've been stories, he said, about things hidden deep in the swamp by folks long gone. Old treasures, secrets, even maps. But most were dismissed as folklore. Troy felt a chill. The swamp had a reputation for hiding secrets, yes, but this felt different, real, tangible, alive in its mystery. Carefully, Troy pried open the chest. Inside was a collection of items wrapped in cloth, each piece more intriguing than the last: a faded leather-bound journal, a bundle of coins with strange engravings, and small artifacts that hinted at a culture or purpose long forgotten. The journal's pages were brittle yet legible, and Troy couldn't resist flipping through it. The handwriting was elegant, looping, meticulous, a stark contrast to the roughness of the swamp. Already he could sense stories waiting to be uncovered. Stories that could rewrite parts of local history. As the morning sun climbed higher, the team worked methodically, documenting each find. Troy's camera captured every detail, every gasp, every glance of disbelief. The swamp, with all its beauty and danger, had delivered something extraordinary. But amid the thrill of discovery, a question loomed larger than any alligator or snake. Who had hidden this, and why? The chest had been deliberately placed under the dock, hidden from sight, yet protected enough to endure decades. Someone had planned for this moment. Even if they never intended anyone to find it. By mid-afternoon, word had started to spread. Neighbors arrived, some curious, some skeptical. Social media buzzed with rumors and speculation. Troy, ever cautious, reminded everyone to respect the swamp and the find. This isn't just about treasure, he said. It's history. It's a story that belongs to the bayou, and we need to treat it right. Yet, even as he spoke, Troy felt a mix of excitement and unease. The swamp had shown him its secrets, but secrets always come with consequences. Hidden history has a way of attracting attention, and not all of it friendly. As the shadows lengthened and the water shimmered with the afternoon sun, Troy knew that uncovering the mystery beneath his dock was only the beginning. The chest had been found, but its story, the true story, was just starting to emerge. and in the heart of the Louisiana bayou, Troy Landry realized that sometimes the swamp gives more than you bargained for. Evenings in the Louisiana swamp carry a different kind of energy. The sun dips low, casting long shadows over the cypress knees, and the water seems to shimmer with secrets only the night can fully reveal. For Troy Landry, this was the perfect time to dive deeper into the mystery of the chest key. As he read aloud, his historian nodded. "This is incredible. It's not just a journal, it's a guide. Whoever wrote this was documenting something very important. Something they didn't want lost to time. The idea that he might be holding a roadmap to Untold. History sent a thrill through Troy. Yet the swamp had a way of reminding him that discovery always comes with risk. Troy decided the first step was to cross-reference the symbols in the journal with the carvings on the chest. Slowly, he realized they were connected. Each symbol in the journal corresponded to a marking on the chest, a kind of key or code. It was clever, deliberate, and clearly designed to be understood only by someone patient enough to piece it together. Troy smiled to himself. The swamp had delivered a puzzle, and he loved puzzles. As night fell, the air grew thick with mist, and the sounds of the swamp frogs, crickets, and distant water birds provided an eerie backdrop. Troy's neighbor, who had stayed to help, leaned over the chest, whispering, "You realize this could lead somewhere. Dangerous, right?" Troy nodded. He'd faced alligators, snakes, and treacherous waters, but this was different. This was human mystery, intentional and hidden. And humans, he knew, could be far more unpredictable than any animal. Troy and his team worked late into the night documenting every detail, photographing each artifact and decoding the first few symbols. The journal hinted at something buried deeper in the swamp, possibly in a location connected to a landmark described only in vague terms, where the water turns, and the cypress stands taller than all others. It sounded like a place only a true local could recognize. A secret the swamp had kept for decades. By midnight, Troy leaned back in his chair, exhaustion mixing with exhilaration. The chest had given up its first secrets, but the journal promised more. The clues suggested a network of hidden caches, treasures, or records, possibly even a story about the swamp itself that no one alive had ever known. His mind raced with possibilities: old pirate loot, artifacts from early settlers, or even items of ceremonial significance lost to history. As he finally closed the journal for the night, Troy realized the swamp had chosen him. The discovery beneath his dock wasn't random. It was calling him to follow the trail, piece by piece, symbol by symbol. And Troy Landry, with decades of swamp experience and a fearless heart, was ready to uncover every secret it held. The chest had been found. The journal had begun to speak. And, in the darkness of the Louisiana bayou, Troy knew the adventure was just beginning. The next morning, the swamp felt different. Mist curled over the water like a living thing, and the usual sounds of frogs and herons seemed muted, almost as if the swamp itself was holding its breath. Troy Landry stood at the edge of his dock, the journal and chest safely secured in his boat. Today, he wasn't just a hunter. He was an explorer, following clues left decades or even centuries ago. In a world where the swamp held secrets far older than anyone could imagine, the first clue was simple in appearance, but cryptic in meaning: where the water turns, and the cypress stands taller than all others. Troy had navigated these waters countless times, but the journal's description demanded a sharper focus, attention to detail that only years of experience could provide. He scanned the cypress-lined channels, noting the bends, the wider inlets, and the taller trees. One bend in particular caught his eye, a cluster of towering cypress that seemed to stand like sentinels over the water. Could this be it? Troy's boat glided silently over the water as he approached the location. Every splash, every ripple seemed magnified in the early morning stillness. He slowed, eyes scanning the banks, searching for anything out of place: an old marker, a unique root formation, or a subtle indentation that might suggest someone had been there before. The swamp is masterful at hiding its secrets, and Troy knew that what he was looking for would be subtle, deliberate, and easily missed by the untrained eye. Then he saw it, a partially submerged stone, covered in moss, but clearly shaped by human hands. Troy's heart raced. This was no natural formation. Carefully, he reached down and cleared away the moss, revealing a carved symbol that matched one in the journal. It was the first confirmation the journal's author had been here, marking the spot for a reason. He motioned to his cameraman and neighbor, showing them the symbol. Excitement and caution danced on their faces. They were on the verge of uncovering something extraordinary. Troy followed the symbols further, each one leading deeper into the swamp's labyrinthine waterways. At times, he had to navigate tight channels, push past overhanging branches, and contend with mud that tried to claim his boots. The journey was physically demanding, but Troy's determination never wavered. With each symbol uncovered, the sense of history and purpose grew stronger. Whoever had hidden these items had intended them to be found, but only by someone persistent and knowledgeable. Enough to follow the trail? Hours passed. And finally, Troy reached a small clearing surrounded by the tallest cypress he had ever seen. At the center was a stone pedestal, partially hidden by vines and the swamp's undergrowth. On it rested another chest, smaller than the first, but no less intriguing. The carvings on this chest were more intricate, more deliberate, suggesting a deeper level of craftsmanship. Troy ran his fingers over the markings, feeling a connection to the hands that had shaped it and to the history it represented. Carefully, he opened the chest. Inside were artifacts that hinted at ceremonial importance: beads, small statues, and documents that might reveal a long-lost chapter of the swamp's history. Troy's mind raced with possibilities. He had expected treasure, maybe old coins or relics, but this was something far more profound. It was a story preserved in secrecy, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting golden light across the water, Troy felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The swamp had delivered its secrets, but it had also issued a challenge: to respect its history, to uncover it carefully, and to ensure that its story endured. Troy Landry had started with a hidden chest under his dock, and now he stood in the heart of the bayou, holding pieces of a past few had ever glimpsed. The adventure was far from over. The swamp still had more to reveal, and Troy was ready for every twist, turn, and hidden secret it had in store. The journal, the chests, and the symbols were only the beginning, and the story of the Louisiana swamp and the treasures hidden within it was just starting to unfold.